Did you know that Rachel Notley made it a part of her election platform to review the process of hydraulic fracturing in Alberta because, and I quote, "there is no legislation for it." This is the process in which well operators use water to essentially break up rock formations in order to liberate hydrocarbons from a reservoir. And a recent earthquake near the vicinity of Fox Creek has the NDP calling for this review once again. Jim On, mayor of Fox Creek, says that town council is becoming increasingly more concerned with the seismic activity in the vicinity of the town. And the mainstream media plus environmentalists have really been hyping up the risks of hydraulic fracturing recently. So what is the truth? To begin with, what Rachel Notley is saying is entirely misleading. The Alberta Energy Regulator, who is a government body and basically equivalent to the oil and gas industry police in the province, have extensive regulations that cover hydraulic fracking and the processes that are associated with it. Directive 83 outlines managing subsurface integrity, and these regulations came into place in August of 2013. This document basically covers things like well control, well integrity, and the effects of fracking to the surface and also water wells. And one of Rachel Notley's main concerns is water integrity. But the AER has that covered with the Water Act, which essentially serves to protect Alberta's water. A lot of people are under the impression that you can come to Alberta and drill and it's a free-for-all, but it's really not. There's a lot of red tape to get through. And if there are non-compliance issues, there are hefty penalties. I also scoured through all of the articles that were written about this earthquake that occurred in the vicinity of Fox Creek, and one thing that I noticed was that the magnitudes quoted were different, and they ranged from 4.2 to 4.8. The United States Geological Survey, who is the government body in the States that both records and researches these seismic events, had this particular earthquake at a magnitude of 4.2. And just to give you an idea of the strength of these earthquakes that are supposedly linked to the fracking process, they're minor events even at 4.8. In fact, anything under 5.4 is considered to be minor, as this chart suggests. Some of the articles I looked at even suggested that there had been 367 seismic events in the vicinity of Fox Creek within the last year. But they didn't mention that those earthquakes were below magnitude 3 on the Richter scale. So small and so insignificant that people wouldn't have been able to feel them. And one thing to take note of is that naturally occurring minor earthquakes occur on a daily basis, and they occur with more frequency than what are thought to be man-made earthquakes. Check out this animated time lapse showing that minor earthquakes occur more than once an hour per day. All of those little dots popping up are depicting the seismic activity. The USGS has completed studies that show that the actual process of hydraulic fracturing is not the culprit when it comes to induced seismicity or man-made earthquakes. There's actually a general consensus between professionals that when this does occur, there are geologic faults in the vicinity that have temporarily been reactivated. And there are geologic faults in the vicinity of Fox Creek. But what the USGS has confirmed is that the majority of induced earthquakes are associated with wastewater wells. And this is where an operator that has completed a fracking job will inject the waste fluids into rocks that have never been touched before. So it's thought that the pressure that comes along with this procedure is actually what's causing the earthquakes.
In Ohio, thousands of gallons of wastewater, or brine, have been injected into the 1.7-mile deep Youngstown well since it opened in 2010. It is believed the injecting of the wastewater created pressure on a nearby fault line, resulting in the Tremor.
There are over 40,000 wastewater disposal wells in the US and 30,000 in Canada with very little incidents. Actually, the USGS found that there's less than a percentage of a chance for an induced earthquake to be associated with these wells. So even if earthquakes are associated with wastewater disposal wells, they're low in magnitude, on average less than 3, and they're very rare. But the media and environmentalists ignore these crucial facts, ending up with people being scared of the process of hydraulic fracturing. Whether you believe the process of hydraulic fracking causes earthquakes or not, there's no valid or legitimate argument to ban fracking at this time. As I mentioned, induced seismicity is not commonly associated with actual fracking. And even if you do believe that wastewater disposal wells are a cause, they're minor and they're very rare. The benefits of extracting hydrocarbons outweigh the risks. It's kind of like going to the doctor, getting recommended for surgery. There are risks associated, but when you go through with the surgery, your life is infinitely better. And as for the NDP, there's already a wealth of information out there. This is looking more and more like the royalty review that we're still waiting for. We had already completed 2 less than a decade ago, but the NDP just had to waste more taxpayer dollars doing another study. And this increased uncertainty. So what I think is going to happen from this fracking review is the exact same thing. It's going to waste taxpayer dollars, it's going to increase uncertainty, and we're going to lose more investments. For the Rebel.media, I'm Holly Nicholas.